Welcome back to Hardball. Malice in the Christie team. We're getting new details now on the political bombshell inside New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's office. Last month, David Wildstein handed over hundreds of pages of documents to investigators, which blew this story open in the first place. Some of those documents included conversations that were heavily redacted. In other words, a lot of stuff blacked out. But today, many of those redactions have been lifted. You can now read the paper, giving us a much clearer picture of just how malicious some of Christie's top staffers really are and were. Some of the documents reveal never-before-seen interactions. We see Kelly, that's Bridget Kelly, and David Wildstein joking about how they could punish the Port Authority's chaplain, a rabbi. Wildstein says, and he has actually blanked me off. Kelly says, clearly, we can't cause traffic problems in front of his house, can we? To which Wildstein replies, flights to Tel Aviv all mysteriously delayed. Well, Bridget's retort to that was perfect. In other instances where we knew something malicious was said, we now know who said it. For instance, it was Christie's campaign manager, Bill Stepien, who unloaded on Patrick Foy. He's the New York Port Authority appointee who put a stop to their fun and games. Stepien wrote to Wildstein, holy, we can fill that word in, who does he think he is, Captain America? To which Wildstein replies, bad guy, welcome to our world. And we now know it was Bridget Kelly who was enjoying the panic they'd created by shutting down those lanes on the bridge. After learning that the Fort Lee mayor had sent a panic message to the Port Authority that kids couldn't get their buses to school, she wrote, is it bad that I'm smiling? I feel badly about the kids, I guess. To which Wildstein replied, they are the children of Buono voters. In other words, their parents voted for the Democratic candidate for governor, not Christie. Well, this is a portrait of the world these people are living in, where they're the good guys, and the good guys, the real good guys, like Patrick Foy, who blew the whistle on this, are the bad guys. I guess the rabbi was a bad guy by their terms. Anyway, what kind of people are we talking about, and who talks like them? Brian Murphy was a reporter for PoliticsNJ.com. He's now a brand new MSNBC contributor. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks.
And Jonathan Capehart is an opinion writer with the Washington Post. He's also an MSNBC contributor. Brian, it's great to pull the masks off these people, the ski masks, if you will, because now we can see who they are. We can see Bridget Kelly laughing. We can see Wildstein laughing about all the mayhem that they can cause by shutting down traffic for 4 days. Now, we've also learned they were planning to do it for 4 weeks, for a full month, but they got stopped by this guy, right, Foy, who works for Cuomo. And I am personally dying to know when Cuomo is going to tell us all about the time that Christie called up and said, call this guy Foy off. I want to keep this game going. So we'll see. Your thoughts?
You know, actually, Pat Foy came out this week. Christie gave a budget address, and Pat Foy came out earlier this week and said that he didn't think David Sampson had the moral authority to keep leading the Port Authority. So we have started to see some cracks from Albany on this that we hadn't seen before. But I think, getting back to your original point, you know, it's interesting to see them joking about this. And for one reason is usually when people, and this is just from a historical perspective, when people joke about an operation that they're running or that has been run, usually they do it after the fact, after they've already gotten away with something here. But here they're making this remark in the context of still being in the planning stages for what they're about to pull in Fort Lee a few weeks later. This comment about causing the rabbi some problems, that's only 6 days after the initial order is given from Bridget Kelly, time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee, right? That's given on a Tuesday, the day of Cory Booker's primary. This is being sent on the following Monday. So this gives us some insight into what they're really thinking about here, and it's deliberately causing traffic problems.
You know, Christie, like any good politician, is trying to act aloof from all this. He's acting like, oh, all that scum behavior by these awful people I don't even talk to. I only talk to a couple of people. I don't talk to Bridget Kelly. He's saying it again last night in his interview. He's all this to keep, but the stinkorama that's going on here, all these people, the way they talk about how they're going to screw rabbis, they're going to dump on people, make school kids be late for school, laughing about it. By the way, they're all Democrats. Who cares if they're 4 hours late for work? This whole attitude is called abuse of power. And you would think that the real right-wingers out there would hate it. Right. But this is exactly what they hate about big shots in government.
Right, you would think that. And the other thing about, to your point about the governor trying to put some distance from the stinkorama, I think was the word you used. Bridget Ann Kelly wasn't someone who worked in an office in another building or down the hall or down another floor. She worked in the same complex office suite that the governor did. It was just a little ceremonial hallway between their two offices. The idea that Bridget Ann
that's
Kelly.
What I was saying today at the office meeting. And I said, she's the kind of person you would yell to, how about those Giants this weekend? Or something like that when you walk past her desk.
Right.
And now he's acting like he's never heard of her.
Never heard of her, never talked to her before, that she's some rogue operator. She's not some rogue operator.
Christie went off on radio host Eric Scott last night, that radio show he does, when Scott pressed him for answers. Scott did a pretty good job last night trying to get him to talk. He asked him about Bridget Kelly. Here is Christie's response. Take a listen.
You've said that you were angry when you read about her emails to Wildstein. You said you personally fired her.
No, I did not say that.
You did. That was not. That was.
I ordered it.
I'm sorry. So you personally ordered her firing. Did you have no face-to-face with her on that day?
No.
So there was no opportunity for you to pull her aside and say what was going on?
Eric, by that time, it was evident from the emails what was going on, and it was not appropriate for me to have those conversations.
Because
there was obviously legal consequences going on, potentially for her and for others. So, and by the way, on December 12th and 13th, she was questioned extensively by her superiors and said she had no involvement, no knowledge, no emails, nothing. At the end of the day, Eric, if someone's not going to tell you the truth, they don't tell you the truth. What are you going to do? Grab them by the ankles and shake them upside down? Till emails fall out of their pocket? I mean, come on. Let's not be hysterical about this, Eric. Come on.
Well, that was a strange image. But, Brian, the whole idea there's legal consequences for them and for others, meaning him, of course. Right. Christie there makes a deliberate point, which he does over and over again, as if he were in court. I only have two reports, McKenna and O'Dowd. She doesn't work for me. I couldn't fire her. The reason he was particular there, I would argue, is a courtroom issue. He doesn't want to admit he could fire her because he denies she's even a direct report to him. He always has to cauterize himself, to isolate himself from anybody who works there, except the two guys I think he's going to ask to take the fifth. And that's going to be McKenna and O'Dowd. He has completely cut himself off from the running of his entire governorship. If you listen to the way he talks, I only talk to two people. I don't talk to her. I can't fire her. I won't talk to her. It's interesting how he consistently sets up this firewall. Your thoughts?
No, and if you look at, it just contradicts. Thinking about this visually, when you see the picture of Bridget Kelly with the governor at the boardwalk fire, she's standing right next to him. When you see the picture of the governor at the 9/11 memorial, who's standing closest to him? It's not Dave Sampson. It's not Bill Baroni. It's Wildstein. Like, the idea that there's this great distance here. I've never talked to these people. I have no interaction with these people. It's just hard to wash with what we know about how that office operates. It's hard to wash with what we know we've seen. And the statement there about the first contact being in December just doesn't match up with what the governor has told us about ordering an investigation as soon as he learned about this back in October, asking Charlie McKenna and his chief of staff, Kevin O'Dowd, to begin looking into this matter. She should have been questioned back in October, not in December. So that, this statement that he gave to Eric Scott yesterday, and I think that question was that's a pretty obvious and softball question to ask. Not to demean Eric Scott's interview, but if you want to get to the real heart of it, ask about August, right? Don't ask about what happened after the fact.
Well, we all wish we had a shot at the guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, last night, Brian, let's listen to this. Last night, Christie, the governor, delivered a stern warning to Jersey lawmakers as investigating him. This is the first time I've ever heard a guy be careful. Some might even call it a threat. Let's listen to him now, putting the wood to these guys. These are the Democrats trying to figure out what's going on.
If the legislature wants to be partisan and political and block the agenda that the voters voted for in November through their governor, the only person all the voters voted for, then they're going to have to put up with the political consequences that come along with that. I will be damned if I let any of this stuff get in the way of doing my real job. And this is my real job, and I'm doing it.
Forget about it. That's basically what Christie was saying. Forget about it. If it sounds familiar, it's because you've heard it all before. Back in 1974, in January of 74, Nixon stood in front of Congress less than 7 months before he resigned. Here's what he said then.
I believe the time has come to bring that investigation and the other investigations of this matter to an end. 1 year of Watergate is enough.
So there was Christie saying, don't do too many investigations. You'll get in the way of what I want to get done. And if you push too hard, I'll push back. He's telling them when to end their investigations, just like Nixon.
But the problem that the governor has is that the legislative investigation isn't the only investigation that's happening.
It hasn't even begun yet.
Right, there's the federal investigation that's happening. And look, what the governor did in that response is what I've been saying all along, which is he is trying to present that, yeah, this is happening, but I still have to be governor. I still have to run the state. I still have an agenda that I'm trying to get through the legislature. And if they want to play political games, well, then they will be accountable to the voters. That's sort of the subtext of what he's saying. But I agree that the overall message is I'm standing there with a bat. And you guys, if you're going to insist on investigating me, well, make sure I hit you with it.
Well, he also says to Eric there, Scott, his interviewer, don't get hysterical about this. Well, that's a great way to talk to a reporter. Don't get hysterical. And the other thing is, this guy is bullying right now. We're watching it. By the way, holding her up by her ankles and shaking. Where's he get images like that? You got a bully problem. Don't use images like that, Governor. Anyway, thank you, Brian Murphy, and thank you, Jonathan Capehart. Up next, a lot of progressives blame Ralph Nader for costing Al Gore the 2000 election. Now Nader's stirring the pot again for 2016. I don't get why he's doing this, but he's doing it. And this is Hardball, Place for Politics.